here today at Skywalker Ranch in Northern California with Jonathan Rinzler, who is the author of The Art of Star Wars, The Revenge of the Sith. Jonathan, thank you very much for being with us today.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
So how did you pull together all the amazing, beautiful artwork assembled in this book?
Fortunately, I had the advantage of having gone to a lot of art department meetings, so I knew a fair amount of the art beforehand and knew what I was going to choose. The art department supervisor keeps giant binders filled with the literally thousands of pieces of work of art. I was trying to organize them in chronological order, which meant instead of saying, oh, well, here's the space battle and here's all the pictures I did of the space battle, I wanted to show that in the beginning, that for the space battle, all they really knew was that there was going to be ship A and ship B. And that happened on week 1. And then on week 6, you had, oh yeah, there's going to be a hostage on this ship. And that's, and then it really builds itself very slowly. So I really wanted to respect, once again, the organic process that George uses in making these movies.
How did George Lucas oversee such a vast production?
I would say painstakingly. He looks at every single piece of artwork, piece of whatever that's going to go in front of the camera. And like he says in the making of book, he says that's his job.
So the two books go together.
In this book, you can read about an art department meeting, and then in this book, see the actual art that was presented.
Jonathan, what medium were the artists working in? I mean, some of the renderings look like paintings.
They do a sketch, and then they scan the sketch into the computer, and they use a program called Painter that makes it look like a painting, but in fact is done with the computer, and it allows them to go very, very quickly. There were, at one point, more than 12 artists, and each one was doing between 7 and 12 works of art for every week. And they would post them on a bunch of foam core boards, and George would come up there, and George was very methodic. He would always start on the left and work his way to right, and at a certain point, far along in the process, he would literally say, okay, this is going to be my establishing shot, and from here we're going to pan over here, and Faye, the art department supervisor, would put little post-its on it and say, okay, shot 1, shot 2, shot 3.
Which came first, the art or the script?
The artist started working definitely before he started writing. But the artist never worked in a complete void. He would say, there are 7 battles happening on 7 planets. Let's see what that looks like. And then they would go and do their thing. And then he would say, well, I think this planet needs to be more, or less red. This looks too much like Geonosis. So then the next week they do something different.
That's a much more creative way to work on a film. It's very unconventional, but again, I'm sure it gives the artist a lot more freedom. Definitely.
As the producer, Rick McCallum, says in the book, he says most people wouldn't spend millions of dollars not knowing what kind of movie they were going to make. But George and his crew do exactly the opposite.
Jonathan, you're just looking through the book. It's chock full of photos, illustrations, and artwork.
There are more than 800 total artworks in the book. For me, every spread is my favorite.
The book is The Art of Star Wars, The Revenge of the Sith. And you can buy this just by clicking the link, which is easy, or at your local bookseller.